everybody. Today we're going to talk about Traumaversaries. See you in a minute. What is a traumaversary? A traumaversary is the anniversary of a trauma or a series of traumas or even a season of traumas. My traumaversary falls along now through late October to almost February. I have a very difficult time completing tasks, staying on track, making videos. Before I knew I had DID, I used to think that I was a perfectionist. Like when I was in school, I used to think I was a severe perfectionist. And that's why I couldn't get my schoolwork done, or that's why I couldn't get something done. I was crippled by perfectionism and anxiety and depression and things like that. Just constellations of disorders I thought I had because nobody would tell me I had DID, Dissociative Identity Disorder. And so I was very confused for a long time, and I never understood why towards the end of the year, the beginning of the next year, I always did poorly. I often wound up in hospitals around these times, just had a lot of difficulty, and it seemed seasonal. So at some point I thought I had seasonal affective disorder because I wasn't being diagnosed correctly. For the past week or so, I was pretty much in a semi-catatonic state. I wasn't catatonic, but my body felt extremely heavy. I could hardly move. I could move. If I really willed myself, I could move. It's like a semi-paralysis. It's like if I sat in the chair to watch TV, there's a big likelihood that I wouldn't get up for the rest of the day. I would just stare at the TV and I wouldn't move a muscle. Not to eat or anything. I do eat. I eat at the end of the day, and that's problematic because then I would binge because I haven't eaten all day. So, it becomes very confusing around traumaversaries for me. I don't remember the dates of my traumas. I just assume it's around this time because of how everything tends to go around these months. I have alters that sort of lock me down. See, the subconscious mind does not work the way the conscious mind works. Your conscious mind, when you have stress, will think about everything. It will think about, oh my gosh, my obligations, my workload, my social engagements and things I have to do. But your subconscious doesn't work that way. And that's where alters exist. Your subconscious works very much like a computer. It is going to do the most efficient thing to get you de-stressed. And in my case, the most efficient thing sometimes is to completely just lock me down so I can't think. If I can't think, I can't think about bad things. And if I don't move, I can't do bad things or experience bad things. If I'm in a safe place and I don't move and I don't think, I cannot be hurt. And so for about a week, almost 5 days around, I had been locked down. And this is my second day. Yesterday I felt a little less trapped in myself. And today I feel much more like myself, but I'm not completely myself right now. And one of the interesting things I discovered when I was locked down this time for 5 days was the feeling. I thought at first that it was a bunch of different things, like, am I depressed? Is this or that? When it lifted so abruptly that I knew immediately it was an alter. That whole feeling for the 5 days was very familiar to me because that's the feeling I had years ago when I lived in Florida. I'm thinking that the alter that was here for 5 days is the ex-host of my system who used to be here all the time when I was in Florida. Which is a really weird thing to think because I thought I was the host all the time in Florida here. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe they weren't. But that feeling was so persistent when I was in Florida. It was almost all the time. So the only thing I can assume is that was my ex-host and I am the current host. And that was one of my fears, was like, what happens if another person wants to host? Am I gonna disappear? And I guess if somebody else decides to host, you just don't really realize it until something happens to inform you that maybe you weren't the one here before. That was just one of the little discoveries I had. And so, you know, things have been sort of like a very confusing, a very confusing maelstrom, like, you know, thoughts mixed up, scattered. Sometimes they're mixed, sometimes they're scattered to the winds, so I can't even reach my thoughts. And that's sort of how it was for the 5 days. My thoughts would, whenever I would try to think, my brain would get really I would get very anxious, my brain would get very confused, and then everything would just scatter to the four corners of the world, like to the winds with my thoughts, and then I would just kind of sit and watch TV. Because I didn't know what else to do or how to get myself out of that frame of mind. And it's not a frame of mind, it was an altar. I assume that altar goes by Brandy like I do. I'm starting to think there are a number of Brandies that identify with the body, the age, and everything, but we're not the same Brandies. And so I'm sort of in a weird state right now because of, I assume there's Traumaversaries or a trauma season that I'm having. And I wanted to make this video because I've been wanting to make videos for days. And I tried yesterday, but I lost my motivation and energy again towards the end of the day. And so today, here I am trying, and it's probably a very flawed and, I don't know, maybe odd video. But this is what I'm going through right now. This is what it's like for me right now. It's very confusing. Sometimes it's very depressing, and sometimes I get locked in, is what I call it, because it's not catatonia completely. It's just a very shut down, hard to move type of thing, but not completely, just catatonic. So I'm dissociating, but Traumaversaries, people with DID all have Traumaversaries because everybody with DID suffers from PTSD. Because DID is a form of PTSD. It's the most severe form of PTSD. And so we all have our Traumaversaries that subconsciously affect us. That's why people think that trauma, it lives in the body. Whether you're thinking consciously about it or not, your body does keep score, it remembers. And so I think that's what's going on. My body is remembering things, but that I can't consciously think about, Oh, and another thing was, like, for the week that I was locked down, I ate like a horse, so I gained a crap ton of weight in a week. And I think that's what I used to do in Florida. And then when I moved where I moved now, I lost a ton of weight because I think I had a host switch. And so what scared me is when the ex-host came for 5 days, it was 5 days, I was thinking, oh my God, what if they decide to come back and take over and stay? And what if I end up, just lethargic and unable to do things and unable to think and just eating and eating and eating and watching TV? And I really don't want that. And I'm fighting against it. I don't know really how to fight against it because it's my subconscious mind. But I'm trying to stay grounded. So that's what I would suggest you guys do if you ever feel like you're slipping away. Try to find ways to ground yourself. That's the best advice I can give. I'm not very good at grounding myself yet. I don't even have a grounding box. So I'm gonna work on making one of those. So if anybody out there has any suggestions to put in that grounding box, please let me know, because I do really need to make one. Everybody who has DID or even PTSD and sometimes borderline personality disorder should probably have a grounding box where you have something that has a scent, I don't know if a taste, something to look at, just engage your senses to bring you back to the present moment. And so that's what I'm gonna be working on, is building my grounding box. So anyway, I'm gonna get going for now, but I do love you all, and thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Okay, so have a good day, night, etc.